So also, remember your animal projects for Miss Price are due next week, right? Either I think like Tuesday, Wednesday, you guys are presenting. It's different for each class. So whenever you're supposed to present, but don't forget you're also getting a science grade for that project. So what we need you to do is upload your presentation onto Schoology. And you need to do that by next Friday, so April 7th, okay? Does anyone remember what format do you need to save your presentation in to upload into Schoology? What format? Hannah?
PDF.
PDF. Perfect. So remember, if you save it as a PDF, that means I can look on it on the iPad, on the laptop, on the computer at home. So that just allows us to grade it a lot quicker and easier, so we don't have to do it on the iPad. If you save it as like Prezi or something, then we can only look at it on the iPad. It's going to take a lot longer to get your grades back. So please just do me a favor and save it as a PDF. That'll make it a lot easier on me, and then you'll get your grade back a lot more quickly, all right? Yes?
So once it like makes a big red X on it.
Yeah.
That's if you do. That's if your iPad's not updated.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if that happens, just update your iPad, okay? And then it should be fine. All right, any questions about the toys or the uploading animal project? So just remember, by next Friday, if you want to upload it before that, awesome, go for it, okay? Alrighty, so for today, after we do our riddle, like I said before, we're going to start working on our hypothesis for growing our Wisconsin fast plants. We're going to use this sheet that is going to help us, and I'll explain this in a minute, how exactly we'll use it. And then we're going to write it up as a paragraph in our journal. So remember the journals we created the other day? This lab, since it's 6 weeks, we're going to do a big write-up for this lab once we finish it. Similar to when we do our 1 or 2 day labs, because it's going to be equivalent to the amount of time we spent on it. So it's going to be a lot longer. So as long as you're filling out your journals, it won't be that hard at the end of the day, or at the end of the unit, at the end of the lab. So that's why if you take the time, fill out what you're supposed to in the journal, it'll be a lot easier for you in the future. If you only do half the work now, it's going to be really hard at the end of the lab to do that write-up, all right? Okay, after that, we're going to go over our notes on seed plants. It is very, very, very likely we will not get to that today. Every class pretty much has spent the whole time working on their hypothesis, because we kind of broke it up step by step, so it's a little bit easier for you to do this. This is the first time we're writing up on a big write-up. Awesome. So going over notes, we're probably going to move that to Monday or Tuesday. We're going to focus on getting ready to plant. Remember, we're planting on Monday, so we need to get everything done today in order to be able to plant on Monday. That's kind of our priority right now. We're just kind of pushing the textbook aside, but we'll come back to that later. So if you didn't do your notes, you have time to do it, okay? So make sure you guys get that done. All right, since it is Friday, happy Friday, everyone. We will do our read aloud. So once you're starting to fill out your journals and we're getting towards the end of class, then we'll do the read aloud, okay? So we'll get time for read aloud. All right, any questions about what we're doing? All right. So if you pull up this sheet, you should all have one on your desk. Actually, you guys can use yours. I'll take this.
Oh, I just put it back over on the pile.
Yeah, I see one right here. Okay. Alrighty, so first, really quickly, I'm just going to go over. So remember we filled out the middle of this chart yesterday. We talked about the 6 different variables that you can change that may affect the growth of your Wisconsin fast plant. So they were light, pollination, water, fertilizer, temperature, and space. So this, instead of our E question, y'all should have decided within your group which variable you want to change. So just as a quick reminder, light and water, those ones are going to be a little harder because you need to be responsible to take your plant off the water and put it back on, or cover it from the light, and uncover it each day, or however many days you decide you're going to do it. The pollination is an easier one because you're just going to pollinate the flowers for however many days you decide, greater or less than 5 days. The fertilizer and space, those are going to be the 2 easiest ones because you'll do it on Monday, on planting day, and then you don't have to worry about it the rest of the time. And then temperature is definitely the hardest one. You're going to have to come up with very specific procedures of how you would actually make that one work without changing different variables. There was a Miss Ours only had one group ever do the temperature, and they brought in hand warmers and they put them on the plant to warm it up. The problem they were running into though is people were forgetting to bring in the hand warmers, and then it was costing them a lot of money because they had to go buy more hand warmers. Because they only stay warm for like an hour maybe if you've ever used a hand warmer before.
Yeah.
But so yeah, ice worm skiing. But so just I would recommend kind of trying to stay away from the temperature one. If you really are feeling motivated and ambitious and you think you have a great way to do it, let us know. Maybe we can talk about it. But I would probably try to stay away from temperature. Okay. All right. So if you look at this lab sheet, so after I explain kind of the whole thing, I'm going to give you each an expo marker, and you're going to fill this out as a group. So as a group, you need to decide on this information. So number one is really easy. The one variable we will test is. So you're just going to write whatever variable you test. So if my group decides we're going to test the pollination, I'm going to write pollination right on that line. Easy, right?
What?
Yes, ma'am.
Do we use an expo marker for it?
Yes, I'll pass out an expo marker. I'm just going to explain the whole thing first, okay? All right, the second one, the question we will try to answer is, now, for this one, you need to be specific about what you're testing. So if I decide my group, we're going to pollinate for 7 days instead of 5 days. My question is going to be, what will happen to the plant if we pollinate for 7 days? It needs to be a what will happen question. So you're not going to say, will the plant grow more flowers? It needs to be kind of more open than that. So it's a what will happen question, okay? What will happen if we take it out of the light for 3 days a week for 10 minutes? Okay, so along with, depending on what your variable you're taking. Does that make sense for the question? Okay. Number 3. So this one says, in order to make our experiment a fair test, we will keep all of the variables constant or unchanged. So what am I going to put right here?
The one.
Yes, okay.
The ones that we didn't change, like light.
Exactly. So again, if I chose pollination, here I'm going to write light, water, fertilizer, temperature, and space. Those are the 5 variables that are going to stay the same, right? We're only going to change one. That's how we have a fair test. Remember that from our eating question? I think it was 2 days ago. We want a fair test so we know what's changing our plant. All right, the next one. We will need some special materials or equipment. So if I decide that I'm going to do space and I'm going to plant 3 plants in each cell instead of 1, what extra equipment am I going to need? You're going to need what, Madison? Well, it's in the same amount of space. So here's the cells. I'm going to plant 3 plants instead of 1. Yes, David?
More plants.
Yeah, more plants, more
Fertilizer.
seeds, right? The fertilizer is going to stay the same, but I'm going to need more seeds because I'm adding more plants. So for number 4, you just need to think about if there's anything extra that you're going to need when we plant. So on Monday, when I'm coming around and bringing you your seeds and your fertilizer, you should be able to tell me, Miss Osse, we need 8 extra fertilizer pieces. And I'll say, all right, and I'll be able to give them to you right then and there. Yes?
Wait, so when you're doing that fertilizer, like will you give us the fertilizer? Like if you say, oh, we're doing this, or will we just tell them?
Yeah, so each group is going to receive the normal number. So each group, like we already have it sorted out. So each group is going to get 12 fertilizer, right? So you get 3 per cell. And then if you need any extra, I'll bring it to you. Each group's going to get 4 seeds. If you need extra, I'll bring it to you, okay? Yes, okay.
For example, I would just said for like the fertilizer, if you need like are we gonna need extra of that?
So if you're changing whatever variable you're changing, you may need extra of. Okay, does that make sense, everyone? All right, guys, hold it together, please. Okay. Yes, Madison.
Has anyone this year done temperature?
No. All right. Number 5, guys. So number 5 talks about, or 5 through 7 is going to talk about how we're going to collect data, right? So we're not just going to grow these plants and leave them over there. We're actually going to do something with them. We're going to learn by growing them. So there's going to be 3 different ways we can collect data. We can measure, we can count, and we can observe. Who can tell me how you measure something? How do you measure something, Faith? Exactly. You measure it using a ruler. So what are some things we could measure on our plants? Kirsten? Sure.
The stem and the leaf.
Perfect. The stem. So I mean like the height of the stem and the leaf. You could measure the length of the leaf, the width of the leaf. Anything else you guys can think you could measure? Yes.
The height of the petal plant.
Okay. Yes. The height of the plant. That's a really common one. Anything else you guys can think of? Yeah, the width, maybe the width of the plant, like the stem. Kaylee?
So we won't be able to, but like maybe if you have like a clear jar or something, if you could see the roots, how long the roots were.
Yeah, so unfortunately we won't be able to measure roots, but yeah, maybe in a different case scenario you would be able to. This is what so if you look at this chart, we added some things we could measure here. We did this with first period and then left it up. So they came up with the length of the pod you could measure, the height of the plant, which we mentioned, the size of the leaf or the flowers. Remember, these are flowering plants. And then also the thickness of the stem, which we also brought up. So for number 5, you as a group need to decide something you're going to measure in order to collect your data. All right, so number 6, count something. How do you count something? Yes, Josh. Exactly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. Words and numbers. Perfect. All right, what's something we can count on our plants? Okay? The leaves. What else can we count? Kristen? The flowers. Kaylee?
The petals.
The petals on the flowers. Good. You want to know what's that? The seeds. So remember, for the seeds, you're going to count the seeds that the plant produces, not the number of seeds you plant, because you're controlling that. But it'll be the seeds that your plant produces. Yes, Faith? That one? Okay. All right, those are all really good. Some extra ones or other things you might be able to count that we talked about was the number of pods. So remember, the pods are going to grow. That's what the seeds are going to come out of. So the pods, if you're doing space, and only if you're doing space, you could count the number of plants that grow. Because if you add more plants, there might be more that grow. But if you aren't doing space as your variable that you change, there's only going to be one plant that grows, right? So counting the number of plants will only work for space. All right, the next one is observe. When we observe, what kind of things do we observe? Or who can give me like a definition of observation? Haley?
So like something that you record down, like you have to actually look at something and then record like what you're looking at.
Perfect. So something that you can actually see. We're making observations with our eyes. So it's going to be the color of something, the texture, the shape. It's not something you can count and not something you can measure. So what's some examples of something we can observe for our plant?